Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do our May the 12th just for today in a meditation. I want to wish you a happy Mother's Day out there. Happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers and all of you fathers that are in the roles of mothers, because that does happen as well, doesn't it? And so we want to just thank you for being who you are in those children's lives today. Thank you for getting clean and making a difference in their lives today. Your recovery matters. Okay, the title of the meditation is Living with Spiritual Experiences. Living with Spiritual Experiences. For meditation to be of value, the result must show in our daily lives. Oh, I like that one. That comes from the basic text, page 47. It says, in working our program, we are given many indirect indications of a higher power's presence in our lives. The clean feeling that comes to so many of us in taking our fifth step, the sense that we are finally on the right track when we make amends, the satisfaction we get from helping another addict. Meditation, however, occasionally brings us extraordinary indications of God's presence in our lives. These experiences do not mean we have become perfect or that we are cured. They are tastes given us of the source of our recovery itself, reminding us of the true nature of the thing we are pursuing in Narcotics Anonymous and encouraging us to continue walking our spiritual path. Such experiences demonstrate, in no uncertain terms, that we have tapped a power far greater than our own. But how do we incorporate that extraordinary power into our ordinary lives? Our NA friend, our sponsor, and others in our communities may be more seasoned in spiritual matters than we are. If we ask, they can help us fit our spiritual experiences into the natural pattern of recovery and spiritual growth. Just for today, I will seek whatever answers I may need to understand my spiritual experiences and incorporate them into my daily life. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please, and thank you. Oh, wow. Living with spiritual experiences. And we do have some extraordinary indications, right, of God's presence in our lives. That's the benefit of meditation, right? That's the benefit of meditation, because now it causes a stillness to come about you and for an interaction with your higher power that is more revelatory, okay, than expository, right? It's not us expressing what we need to say, right? It's about us listening for a response. And in the response, just even talking about it, I feel meditative, right? Just in the response, then we begin to have this revelation of what? All of the times and all of the love that the God of our understanding showed up for us, right? And so we can say we have extraordinary indications of our higher power's presence in our lives. Now, having that and those experiences doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to have issues. right? That things aren't going to come up where we still need to apply spiritual principles. We're going to need to do that. Sometimes what happens is that people, oftentimes, I can't really say, 100% sure, but this is just what I've noticed. People that have come from a very religious background, right? They're more used to religiosity and they got waylaid somehow and got into, using drugs and the lifestyle that comes with it. More times than not, when they understand that they can have a God of their own understanding, something that works for them, that is loving and caring, concerned with them, that they can turn to outside of themselves, right? So it's greater. And sometimes people choose the groups, right, as a power greater than themselves. But at some point, they go past that and they choose a higher power in a relationship, right, that doesn't have anything to do with another human being, right, because it's spiritual in nature, not religious. And when those individuals get to that point, there's a tendency to want to pull back some of the religiosity into their day-to-day living, right? The steps and traditions or ways of acting that are an indication to others, right, that they're spiritual, right? Well, I do this every day and I do this every day and I got to go here on this particular night. They tend to go a little bit back into that, or they go the opposite. They don't want anything to do with religiosity. Now, I want to speak to that because that's my experience, right? I want to speak to that individual that came from a very highly religious program, stifling, very stifling, and left it, chose to use drugs and live that lifestyle for however long, got clean, and then were left with whether or not they wanted to pull some of the elements of the religiosity back into their spirituality. It's not uncommon for people like ourselves with our spirituality to enjoy doing readings, meditations like this on a daily basis, because that's part of how we were wired to begin with. It's not uncommon for us to enjoy that, right? So, what happens sometimes is that because we already have had an awareness of our higher power, of God, right? And now we're like kind of want all of that, but without the religiosity. Sometimes what happens is that we struggle to have a conversation without over spiritualizing every experience, even though I believe every experience has a spiritual lesson. And so when that happens, we can find that people are intolerant with us. And that's very hurtful, right? Because we're tolerant of their not having a higher power they want to talk about, or having a higher power they don't want to talk about, or not wanting to attribute all of the good things that happen to them to care from their higher power, right? We tolerate that. We understand that, right? And if like myself, you can agree, you probably have some friends that are agnostic, atheist, uh, Buddhist, Islamic, right? You probably have like a lot of friends that don't have the same higher power as you. Did that ever matter to you? Did it stop you from being loving and caring? I would say no, not unless I was being abused in some kind of way, right? And then I probably would have a lot to say because all of our higher powers should cause us to, all of our understandings, let me say that, of our higher power should cause us to be more loving, caring, and kind, not hurting people, right? That's the only time where I begin to have an issue. And even then, it's not my business. It's not my journey. It's theirs. But where I feel it imposes upon me in an unloving manner, then I'm going to have something to say, right? And I may pull that card. I thought you said that you have this wonderful relationship with a higher power that you choose to call God. And it causes you to treat me or someone else I care about that way. You need to get with that. I recently had to tell a friend that, I wouldn't care for how many people you pray for. If this level of arrogance and belligerence and ability to shame people is where you go with that, then I think that's a heart condition. And I think that you need to go a different direction. And you definitely need to stop fooling around with me. That's not an option, right? Gauging me on that level, that's not an option. I've had so much religious shame thrown on me. I don't have any tolerance for it today from anyone. I wouldn't care who they are, right? And so sometimes what happens is that we begin to worship those experiences, those extraordinary indications. And it's usually just because we're excited about about the good things, right? We're so excited about the saving factor of it, right? Like it's like, oh, it's almost kind of pronounces the fact that we had very little faith. And then all of a sudden, regardless to how little faith we had, our God came through. And so we're kind of like bragging, like, look at this, listen to this, right? But to actually be able to express that and share that with others, that's a privilege, first of all, to be able to do it. Because the world is pretty intolerant of anyone that is talking about spiritual experiences, unless it's on the dark side, right? The world is pretty intolerant. And so I tread carefully in that area. Yeah, I want to talk about it. I want to share it, but I'm not trying to promote the God of my own understanding because I'm not interested in whether or not you accept the God of my own understanding from the point of view that your acceptance of what I believe in is irrelevant, right? Not that I wouldn't want you to experience the same thing that I do. That's not the case. But I'm not dependent on approval in that area anymore when I used to be. So when I'm sharing those experiences, I'm usually sharing them with people that I think have similar spiritual experiences, but I'm not going to worship those spiritual experiences, right? Because it says clearly here, they are taste given us of the source of our recovery itself, reminding us of the true nature of the thing we are pursuing in Narcotics Anonymous and encouraging us to continue walking our spiritual path. They demonstrate in no uncertain terms that we have tapped a power far greater than our own. But how do we incorporate that extraordinary power in our ordinary lives? And it says that other people may be more experienced in that field. And we can ask them how they fit, spiritual experiences into a natural pattern of recovery and spiritual growth. And it all that it's doing is trying to remind us to have balance. That's all that is. Balance, right? Instead of worshiping and magnifying those experiences, make sure that we're living a life that is attracting other people to this spiritual journey that afforded us the opportunity to have those experiences, right? That spiritual journey for me is a relationship with God. I want my life to be an attraction to others for that. All of the benefits that I believe came as a result, other people may not believe that same thing. They may believe if you put in the work, you're going to get results. You showed up to work. Yeah, but I also believe that there were certain things that were set up along the way. Maybe even a couple years before I got this position in counseling with the people that I got it with, I was already having opportunities to engage them in public on a different level. Had no idea that this was an opportunity, a door that was going to open up to me, and the person would keep their word when I graduated, right? And so I don't know, I kinda think that there was a lot more to than me just showing up, right? And so the point being is that I want people to be attracted to the relationship that they can have with a God of their own understanding, not necessarily drawn to all of the wonderful, beautiful things that I've experienced in life spiritually, right? And so it takes balance to be able to do that. My name is MightyStream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose. Yeah, I said it twice and I meant it twice. I enjoyed talking to you. Have a beautiful day.